Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Guy Ritchie's The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Now, Guy Ritchie, I reviewed Snatch, of course, the other day. I rewatched that for maybe the 30th plus time in my life. I've seen it so many times. I adore it. I think it's one of the best films of the century. I absolutely love it. And I just think it's one of the best comedies ever made, really, taking everything into account. The editing and everything is just revolutionary, really, stunning. And it's just so much fun, from start to finish. Lock, Stock, I of course have loved as well, but I haven't seen that for quite a few years now, so I'd have to rewatch that to properly get my judgment. But them two films I always loved, and I've seen Rock and Roller this year, I believe, and I've not seen Sherlock Holmes all the way through, the first one that he made. I can't comment on that, and I've not seen any of the sequel. But yes, seeing this for the first time tonight really has just confirmed the kind of is a shame, very sad fact that Guy Ritchie, he's not the same filmmaker he used to be, really. It's a real shame because them films, Snatch and Lock, Stock, they're so good, and it's just like a different filmmaker, and everything he got right. Let's go with Snatch because that's something I can talk about that I've seen recently. The editing is just, many may call it, lacking the sophistication and stuff. The editing, I think it's so well done. It's it's very very. You could say it's over the top, but it's done to such a level that it's kind of becomes sophisticated. It kind of becomes an art in itself. The actual editing, it's so the fast-paced zooms and everything like that. Just such timing, such energy within the editing alone. As always, just used to perfection, and it kind of works with the tone of the film and the pace and everything. And just this, it's got kind of at times it goes for some similar sort of things, but it just falls flat on every level. Now this film, I have to say it now. I didn't have high hopes. I really didn't, because Guy Ritchie and Matthew Vaughn are kind of nowadays they kind of fall into similar sort of tropes, and I hated The Kingsman, the first one. I've not seen the second. I did love Kick-Ass and films like that. But yes, sometimes Matthew Vaughn and Guy Ritchie nowadays, they kind of have a similar sort of style. and a lot of time it doesn't work, I don't feel, too well. But yeah, the kind of the modern sort of gangster comedy stuff, just with them. And it's such a shame because, actually, even Layer Cake was really good. But with Guy Ritchie, Snatch and Lock, Stock, the comedy gangster sort of things that he was doing there, and it's perfect, really. And it's a shame that it just doesn't work. This film was painful, unfortunately. It really was painful at times. It's kind of it's based on a TV, I believe it's based on a TV series of the same name. I'm not too sure on that. I've not really looked into it, but I've heard it is adapted from that and stuff. And there was things floating around the 90s actually about who was going to acquire the rights and stuff. And there was loads of different things back and forward. And then eventually, 2015 it gets made. It gets released by Guy Ritchie, written and directed by him, co-written, and yeah, Henry Cavill, Armie Hammer, even Hugh Grant and stuff. It's got a promising cast. But I mean, I don't like Henry Cavill at all. Actually, I really don't like him as an actor. Armie Hammer, really impressive in Call Me by Your Name. Yes, really good in that. And The Social Network, he was in as well. Really good in that as well. He was probably one of the best things about this film. But yeah, Henry Cavill, I didn't have high hopes for him as a kind of the lead, you could say. And he didn't regain my trust because he was awful in this film, unfortunately. Armie Hammer, it could have been a lot better if he had been given a better script, a character. But he actually was probably the best performance of this film, maybe. And Alicia, Vikander, I did like her at times. She was okay, but again, the character, her character wasn't written well, really, and just the thing. So the film is kind of it's kind of espionage stuff, during the Cold War, tension, everything. A lot of thrillers now, kind of based around that time because it's a great. It's it's kind of an easy time to kind of base a thriller around, you could say. just due to obvious reasons, you know, Cold War tensions, Russia and America and stuff. And these two guys, you know, played by these Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. You've got a CIA American, and then you've got KGB Russian, played by Armie Hammer, and they kind of eventually, quite early on, they kind of team up and they're sent on this mission to kind of take down some of the Nazi kind of scientists and stuff, and other things along the way. But that's the general plot, and you know, it's a callback to a lot of different, you know, classic thrillers and stuff as well. And just, yeah, if you've seen some, you know, films like Rock and Roller, and if you've seen Kingsman, it's got kind of elements of that in there. Stuff I'm not really a fan of. But yes, it was a shame. The first 20 minutes was just boring. And it's not, you know, I always say this in my review, just in case you haven't, you know, checked out my channel probably, I don't get bored. Just because it's not, you know, action or anything. Some of my favourite films are, 2001: A Space Odyssey, you know, Lawrence of Arabia and stuff like this. You know, just I absolutely love films. Mainly my favourite films are dramas, you know, and stuff. And I don't need loads of action. That's what I'm just saying now. It's not because of that. It's because, first of all, there wasn't really any interesting characters, to be honest. Secondly, the plot, you know, was it was heavy in the first sort of half an hour, especially. But it was too heavy because what it was is, you know, the show not tell rule, and it's not a rule that always has to be followed. You know, in that sense of there's a rule book. You know, it doesn't always have to be done like that, but it is, you know, the most effective way to make a film. And if a filmmaker does, you know, do it the other way around and tells, you know, really really talky, it better be interesting. And this wasn't, because, you know, it was so boring, you know, and so convoluted actually as well, because it wasn't clear storytelling. The dialogue was just not there. All the exposition, you know, and everything that was given to kind of set the film up just didn't hit. There was a line, just didn't even hit the average mark, unfortunately. Just didn't compel me, and it's a real shame, because some of the production design and stuff, and you know, the actual feel that they kind of recreated, you know, the time and stuff. And, you know, the soundtrack adds to that as well. You know, it had some elements. It could have been really good, actually, this film. And who knows, maybe Henry Cavill could have given a good performance if it was given a good script and stuff. But it was a mess, this film. And yeah, the first half an hour was just boring me so much. Nothing to latch onto, nothing to be compelled with. And, you know, it gives you like a history lesson, as if people don't, you know, not everyone, you know, I don't know, you know, some people do actually know about history and stuff, and Cold War, including me included. And sometimes it's just a bit, it just seemed like he was thinking we're all kind of, you don't know anything, and it was just very, very just constantly, you know, explaining everything in that sense, and like a history lesson it was, and just in the worst ways, really. And then the rest of the film doesn't really fit that, you know, it kind of just pisses about, and it becomes more of a modern kind of Kingsman thing. It's very, very inconsistent, you know, and there's a lot of tonal breaks as well. But yes, the setup was crap, really, very, very weak at best. You had some decent things, but really as well, the car chases at the beginning. Now, Guy Ritchie in Snatch mastered them zooms, you know, them quick zooms, crash zooms at times, and stuff like that. Really, really off tone here. Does not work in them car chases. Just, you know, zooming out and in, and just pointless effects. Very random, and just very, very messy. Them car chases. Then of course you've got you know, all the things setting up with them characters, and, you know, Alicia Vikander. Her character, you know, starts off not great, but she does pick up. But I never really got a clear sense of what we're meant to feel with her relationships between the two main leads. It was a bit kind of stupid as well, the way that was played out, but, you know, it became a bit more serious in the second half. But then it unfortunately just became more bland and generic, much more heavy on the action, and the action was a lot worse in the final act, especially, which is really, really bad, actually. It was like I actually would say it wasn't quite as bad, but it was similar lines of Quantum of Solace, actually. And that type of stuff. If you've seen that, you know what I mean. The editing wasn't quite as bad as that, but you know, it's that sort of thing. You know, that very, very, you know, high frame rate action that's just poorly put together, choppy editing, and kind of lifeless and just overcut and stuff like that. You know, Guy Ritchie really just disgracefully put that together. You know, the zooms out and everything, and there's just, you know, everywhere, as if like we always have to be, you know, there was no control, and it's as if we were just, you know, we had to be, you know, a handhold, you know, with the action and stuff. It just really just disgraceful. But yeah, as the film went on, I think I just got, you know, after it kind of had a peak in the middle of the film, because there was some, I would praise it, you know, it was kind of some good slapstick, mainly with Armie Harris' character, and you know, Armie Hammer's character, sorry, and it just, you know, it had some comedy that was, I think, intentional, you know, and it did have some charming bits, but you know, the kind of relationship between these guys, a bit camaraderie, but even then, you know, I've seen many films that are just, you know, much better in that sense, you know, with what he was given, he didn't, you know, he still underplayed really, but after that hour mark, it just, you know, it just got worse and worse, and the ending was just awful. The action scene, just awful. Yeah, throughout the film, there's some good cinematography at times. You know, some of the framing, as I've said as well, the production design. You know, the recreation of that time and stuff. You know, sometimes is not quite there, but it is quite impressive at times. You know, praise that. The soundtrack throughout actually is really good. There's a couple places actually, you know, in the second half was a bit out of place. You know, some of the music just comes on and very off-putting actually, but you know, it did have some moments where it was used well. Timing, you know, quite good timing in the first half, where the music was used and edited, you know, and stuff. But you know, it's just under the, you know, throughout this film really, what it does, you know, there's a line, and this line is what I'm talking about, average. We'll talk about this, and you know, this for comedy and it's for the actual dialogue and everything, and it's just, there's the line, and the film's just going, it's just going like that for the whole film. It's just really, it's not even reaching what you'd expect from an average film really. It's a shame. It's quite sad to see. It just, all the humour really, for the most part, just doesn't hit, just doesn't land, it just falls flat. It doesn't even reach average for me. It doesn't even, you know, give me a couple of laughs really for the most part. I think most of the humour things I laughed at was kind of unintentional, and that's a shame, because Guy Ritchie, much respect for him, what he done with Lock, Stock and Snatch, and even Rock and Roller was better than this, but it's a real shame. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Henry Cavill, I really think is awful in this film, awful, and I hated him in Man of Steel. You know, I can't quite get it through my head personally how people would say that Man of Steel is better than Superman the original, or the second one. No way, you know, any of them two. I think actually maybe even Superman Returns is better, but yeah, I hated him in that. I think he's an awful actor. That's personal opinion. You know, I'm not disrespecting, but I do think he's an awful actor. And in this, he's just smarming his way through it. You know, just it's quite laughable. You know, he just kind of just smug sort of looks and kind of just brushing things off. That's the thing. You know, that he doesn't take it seriously enough. And this film, yeah, it's got a weird tone, very weird tone. Not the fact that some of the acts just are completely different to the ones that precede them and succeed them, but you've just got so many. You don't know what to feel when the drama is meant to hit, and when it's meant to be funny. It's kind of just a mishmash of, and what it does, and sometimes this can happen in a drama or a comedy that's a bit of both. You know, it's got drama and it's got comedy in it. It just can kind of, both of them kind of don't work on their own, and then it's kind of, if you know what I mean, it just makes the comedy just bring down the drama, so you can't take it seriously, and the drama sort of, if not timed right, it can downplay the comedy, and it just makes it just, none of it works in that sometimes, and it happens unfortunately in this film. You know, it just becomes, you know, at times it's meant to be taken seriously, you're meant to care, but I didn't. As well, you know, convoluted plot and stuff. It wasn't great storytelling. The direction, unfortunately, was quite weak throughout, and the script wasn't great, you know, and stuff. But you know, a couple of good performances. Unfortunately, Hugh Grant wasn't really given much to do, but you know, his face was a welcome return. You know, I always like Hugh Grant actually. You know, a lot of people hate on him, but I love Hugh Grant actually in a lot of things, especially About a Boy. But yeah, no, his appearance was quite nice. It's just a shame he didn't get much more to do. Yeah, there's not much more to say other than this is really, really disappointing film. I'd probably have to give it a 46%. That's weak, and that's kind of, that is what I was thinking that throughout. When I was setting my camera up and stuff, I was thinking 47, 46, 46% definitely. It's a weak film. It's not quite bad. It does have a couple of things here and there going for it. Generally, though, it just falls so flat. It's really, really boring for me because I just wasn't compelled overall by the characters and the narrative. Very unfocused. Got bogged down really, really badly. It just wasn't told well, you know, this exposition at the beginning and everything like that. And the action at the end is disgracefully edited, and just, you know, all the cameras used and everything, it just doesn't work. And just a mess, you know, the final act, it just gets kind of worse and worse after the middle mark. Up until then, it was all over the place, but it wasn't quite, you know, on the level of the second half. But it's weak, and it's a real shame. Very, very sad to see, actually, because, you know, I really wanted to enjoy this at least, and I didn't have high hopes, but really, it was, even then, it was disappointing. What a shame. And yeah, I can see why it kind of, well, no, it doesn't really. Box office stuff doesn't always correlate, you know, to actual quality. Most of the time it doesn't, but you know, yeah. I mean, the only reason I would have seen it at the time, I didn't obviously, is because of Guy Ritchie and stuff. But you know, it just didn't really appeal to me on the trailers either, and it just confirmed it, you know, that I didn't really like it. And what a shame for Guy Ritchie. You know, he needs to come back. He's not had a great time in the past few years really with his films. And yeah, I love what he done before with a couple of his films. But yeah, Man from U.N.C.L.E. Very, very disappointing. Weak film from me. Well under par, especially by Ritchie standards. And it could have been good actually. You know, it could have been good. Even though I'm not a fan of Henry Cavill and stuff, it could have been good at least. But it wasn't. For me, that's my personal opinion. Fine if you like it, but I wouldn't say it impressed me at all. Didn't like it. But anyway, thanks for watching my review. And you know, over time, I'm going to be reviewing, of course, all the Ritchie films, Guy Ritchie. I really want to get hold of Lock, Stock again. You know, Blu-ray. I'm trying to seek that out, seeing what the best deal is, because I don't own that on Blu-ray at the moment. I think I have the DVD somewhere, but of course, yeah. But anyway, yes. Thanks for watching my review.